All right, we are testing a 2024 390 Beta Race Edition. This bike's brand new, it's done about 170k. And I'll put up on the screen a list of modifications, but there aren't that many. It's the middle of winter here in Melbourne, Australia. So it's wet, it's slippery, but there's no snow. And there never is. We don't have to worry about that here in Australia. You okay? Alright, our mishap's been dealt with. Another rider might be slightly injured. This is one hell of a bike. If you're into four strokes at all, this thing does it all. And we'll test it a bit more and see how it goes out here on the trail today. Unfortunately, this forest has had quite a few inches of rain in the last couple of days, so we can see it is soaked, it is muddy, it is slippery. Alright, back to the bike. The engine is great, plenty of power there when you need it. First gear, second gear. It's got lots of bottom end torque. It's not a a Revy peaky motor, so it makes it very easy to ride. It also makes it quite hard to stall, which can be a problem with some of these 4-strokes, particularly if they're not set up the right way. I've heard of some coming and having had the ECU reset by the dealer to build up the idle and reduce the incidence of stalling. So if you need to get that done, you'll probably find your Baker dealer will be very helpful in that regard. They really want these bikes to work. This one's got no such problem. You can stall it if you jump on the brakes hard enough to install it, but you really need to be trying, or you need to be a gear or two too high to do that. Motor is terrific. I might add I'm running I think a 1351, which is sort of fine for all round conditions, but if you're going to ride around and do high speed desert or ride this thing on the road to the trail, that gearing could be a little low for you. Your top speed won't be very high. But for what I'm doing out here in winter, it's perfect. That's the engine. Now, suspension. Well, I've got to say, the clickers were set a bit too hard from here. I backed them off to the factory settings for soft. I like it nice and soft. And I don't want to do it hard out on these trails. For true roots, logs, and rock gardens, it's very good. If you get up on the pegs and you're in the right balance position, which I really am, because I'm an old guy, this thing handles very well. The suspension is quite good. In fact, I have to say from new, it's probably amongst the best suspension you can get. You don't need to do much to it, well, apart from set the clickers, you do nothing to it, and it works. Doesn't bottom, doesn't deflect, and it's probably two of the most important things. Always pick the right line there, otherwise it can be very tricky. Now here we go. Nice big rut there. Let's see if we can get grip. I might have traction controls on. We're still on the sunny map. In we go. Yeah, it's hooking up. Minimal wheel spin. Minimal wheel spin, which is what you want in these conditions. Once you start spinning up, you're standing on the spot, you're not making progress. Alright, this is quite a tricky track, and this is quite a difficult hill even in the dry. Let's see how we go in the wet. Let's see who gets stuck, if it's not me. Looking good so far. day like today, tyre choice is very important. With the wrong tyre or with too much pressure, you're going to struggle, particularly getting traction up some of these slippery bits. I'm running JX8 Kokoda IRC. So thank you Mr. Larson for recommending one of those. They are a terrific tyre. And I'm running a Rise Moose, which is an Italian-made moose, which is very soft. So it's probably the equivalent of about 4 psi, which is what you want in these conditions. Okay, we're in the slop now. This is rutted, slippery, exposed tree roots, and loving it. The big question too, where do you go for a 300 in this sort of conditions, or do you go for a 4-stroke? Well, hard to go past an ultralight 300. If you have to have a bike that can do both fast open trails, high country mountains and tight, the 390 is a very good compromise. It's not going to do hard enduro like the 300, it never will. You feel its weight at very low speed more than you would on a 300. Not much, but enough to notice, particularly after a long hard ride where you're very tired and all you want to do is get back to the cars. Traction's just great on this thing, but because of the bottom end torque of this motor, it tends just to stick forward and get traction, whereas a bike with a bit more mid-range might just be tempted to pop into that mid-range and give you some wheel spin. Of course, wheel spin means you either have to back off on the throttle and you're going to lose momentum and you're going to lose speed. So, eliminating wheel spin in these slippery conditions is the name of the game, and this bike helps you do that. Okay, ride continues. Lovely bit of single trail here. There you go, you can stall it. Second gear, too much brake. As she shuts down, that's alright. Starts first gear. Did I mention how slippery this is today? I'm running I think an MX-33 Dunlop on the front with a Nitro Moose Platinum. It's not bad, but if you angle that wheel over too much and apply any brake, you're going to lose your front end. So you've got to apply that front brake very sparingly and apply it when the bike is upright rather than angled over. Otherwise you'll lose grip at the front and you'll just flop over on your side, which is not a disaster. Well, the 2-strokes today, I might be mistaken, but I could be the only 4-stroke rider here. Maybe I brought a knife to a gunfight, I don't know, but the way this bike's going, I don't think so. I'm very pleased with it. It's very stable, even at low speed. It doesn't have that tendency to get out of balance. Let that rider clear, open track. Second gear. Second gear, finger on the clutch. Yeah, these aren't the ideal conditions in which to test a bike, because you can barely get it out of second gear today. Well, I can't anyway. That gives you an idea, if you're going to ride in these sorts of extreme conditions, how the 390 will perform. And with the right tyres, clearly it performs great. Now, other observations. This bike runs quite hot. Fan's been going on it all day. This is first and second gear stuff though, with very little air coming into the radiator because of the lack of speed of the bike and rider. So if you're going to get one for these sorts of conditions, you will need a fan. I'm just running normal coolant. I'm not running engine ice or anything like that. Time will tell whether they're a requirement. brakes on a Beta are terrific. They're Nissan, and they are, this is my 4th Beta, they've always had great brakes. And this one no different. Front brake's terrific, got a bit of feel to it. Back brake nice and solid. The standard little levers and the fit out in the dash area is good. I broke a handguard, so hence the non-standard service handguards that I have fitted. Standard handguards are alright as long as you don't crash them into things. And of course, full strap. If you haven't got one of these, you're crazy in these conditions because your mates might have to pull you out. There we go. Nowhere to foot. This is what the back strap's for. And forward. She's right. Whoa! Nelly. And that is why you have a front strap. Another reason to bring young fit blokes on your ride. Yeah, what a motor, it just chugs along through that stuff. Keep a finger on the clutch just in case, but it is hard to stall for a 4-stroke. Great traction on that slippery run. there's very little not to like about this bike. Great brakes, great handling, terrific little motor. I suppose the downside, if you really start thinking about it, you'd want to have a dealership nearby. The dealers are very good if you have warranty issues. I'm lucky to have one not far away from where I live, so that makes it an easy choice. If you live in the middle of nowhere and you haven't got a beta dealer to just sort of, you know, check out any issues you have, it makes it harder. But overall, very happy with this bike. Is it an improvement on the 23? I don't know, I don't notice that much difference. Starts easier. The suspension perhaps is a little bit more plush, but that might be just the way I've set the clickers. No, I wouldn't say there's a great deal to differentiate this from the 23. On paper there's meant to be changes, including radiator, chassis and other changes. I suspect the motor's just the same, and why would you change it? It is such a great motor, and overall this is a great machine. I can see it being very versatile. So if you need to dual sport it, you could ride it on the trail with the right gearing and the right tyres, and then have a fantastic day on the trail and then ride it home. Personally, I don't do that. I'd rather put it on the truck. But there's so much you can do with this bike. You can single trail it. You could race it cross country. I don't know about having it as an adventure bike, a bit on the small side, but I'm sure someone will try it. Oh, did I mention how slippery it is?